All right, so here we have data on home sales prices from 1963 to 2008. And these are averages from whole years, connecting the dots. So we can see down in, say, the early to mid 1960s, it looks like the average home cost was about $20,000. And then into the mid 70s, the average home price was about $50,000. In the mid 80s, we're up over 100,000 for the average house price. We have a jump into the late 80s, and then in the early 90s, there's a little drop there. So throughout the late 80s and early 90s, it's around average home price in the US is about 150,000. Right now, think about that for a second. There's a lot of different kinds of homes in the country. Even today, you can buy a house for like $50,000. Now, you probably couldn't live in it if you only paid $50,000. Average home price today in the Eastern Oregon area is probably around, my guess is $250,000 for the average home, which is a lot of money. And here we have up to 2007 average home price. And again, they have average versus median here. The average home price is somewhere above 250,000, below 300,000. And I think at least in the neck of the woods we live in, it's around that. If we took into consideration cities like Portland, that would probably bring it above the $300,000 range. So my guess is around now, 2023, we're probably approaching 350,000 for the average price of a house in the US. I'm sure we could Google that if we wanted to. What I want you to do right now is make 3 comments about this graph. There's one easy comment. Home prices have been increasing most of the time since the mid 60s, right? Graph's going uphill most of the time. So you could write that one down. Come up with a couple of other comments about it. Now, the average and median separate after a point, right? I wonder if we zoomed into the 60s area that they're actually not touching there. They're just so much smaller numbers than 300,000. We saw that before when we were looking at graphs. If we zoom in, they'll look a little different. But anyway, isn't the shape of both graphs about the same? They both seem to go up and get together and down together in about the same way. So there's another comment you could make. Yeah, come up with 1 or 2 more, whatever you like. Sure. I just want to make a note about this second part, just kind of think about the numbers here. And further down on the page, you'll see a table of numbers. So they have 7 numbers here that could be a sample of numbers that are representative of what happened in 1977. And 1977 is stops tracking right. Let's move to this pen then. (1977) is right here. And the median in 1977 is about there. So that would be the median. And then the mean is a little bit higher. So the mean is over here more. And in the chart, the numbers are in order, so I can see the 5,600, which would be my blue line there. I should have circled that in blue, is the median, right? It's the middle number. And the mean is a little higher. And just something to think about that 40,000, that's not that much lower than 56. Compared to 112, that's like twice as high as this one right here. So what's happening here is, since this bigger number is so much bigger, it's dragging the mean away from the median, right? Because this maximum number here is so much farther than the min, right? So this big max here is dragging the mean away from the median. If the min was way further away, then the mean would be lower than the median, right? And why is that? Well, the median doesn't care what the outer numbers are. All it knows is I'm in the middle. The median, though, the mean, you have to add them all up. So it matters what the max and the min are in that situation. So this big max is dragging the mean from the median. Okay, just a comment on what's going on there in 1977. But you'll notice in the rest of this right here, isn't the mean almost always above the median? Yeah, so what that means is, in the US, there are some houses that are just so far from average, they're dragging the average price up compared to the median price. Right, and I mentioned in my neighborhood the other day, most of the houses in my neighborhood are worth around 200,000, but there's one house that's worth $600,000. Right, so it's inflating the house values in my neighborhood, making them look like they're more than they are, which is bad for taxes but good for sales. It turns out. All right, so that's all I had to say about that. Hopefully you came up with a few good comments about that. Let's move on to the next part. Okay, so here we have 5 possible data sets for 2005. And what we want to do is just kind of look at these and just think about them for a minute. So we just want to use what we know so far about the idea of mean and the idea of median. And there's more than one correct answer. So we want to try and answer the questions. Which of the data sets could have the same mean and median shown in the graph for 2005? So let's look at the graph and get that information. So I'm going to steal this into my notebook. New page, please. And then we're going to try and answer these questions. But we need to look back at the graph. So 2005 on the graph, what do we got? 2005 is right here. Oops, get back here. Right there-ish. 2005, tracing up. The median there appears to be, that would be 240,000. Is the median. And the mean looks like it's just under 300,000. So I'm going to guess it's like 295. So that's what we think the mean is in 2005. Screen somehow. Which of the data sets could have the same mean and median shown in the graph? So let's see. B has the right median. D and E have the right median. A and C do not have the right median. And then as far as mean goes, we should see numbers that are farther. Notice the mean's bigger, right? So if the mean is bigger than the median, what that means is the numbers bigger than the median should be farther from the median than the smaller numbers, right? So the top numbers should be farther from the middle than the bottom numbers. Which ones seem to have that? Well, this one, right, 800,000 is pretty far from 200,000. So I'm going to say this one might have the right mean. These aren't very far away from here, so that does not look right to me. And the $600,000, 600,000 is a long way. Like if I'm going to shop for a house, I could look in this range. I ain't looking at houses in that range. I just couldn't afford the mortgage. So that would drag the mean away from the median. So I think this one, I think B and E to me look like they could be from representative 2005. What's up?
So, absolutely, but I kind of just skip that. You know, if you know the median's got to be somewhere near 3,000, 300,000.
Yeah.
There's 7 of them. So if they add up and they're dang near 2,100, then you know you got the right one, right?
Yeah.
And then the other E is close, but it's not there.
Yeah.
E is like closer.
So you're saying then just B looks representative?
I think B is the one.
B is the one. Okay, cool. Yeah, so there's many different answers because we're just guessing at it. So write down whatever you think the answer is there, because here we were just estimating. Yeah. So I'm estimating B and E. Anthony's just saying B is the most representative, and those are good answers. All right, let's see what else we got. Let's see, which of the data sets would likely have a mean that is less than the median? All right, so that's what my main focus was right there. My brain was stuck on that idea. All right, so far for me, I'm thinking B and E. And then here, again, because I have these numbers that are way bigger than the median compared to these numbers over here, which aren't a lot smaller in comparison. I'm going to say B and E again. And again, other opinions are like for A, B is the best one. It's probably the closest fit to 2005.
That is less than median.
Oh shit, I'm looking at it backwards. Thank you for pointing out that I can't read some days. All right, so we want a mean that is less than the median. So that means we want numbers that are significantly smaller, but numbers that aren't significantly larger. Okay, so D looks like it fits that. What else? This one here, 160, that's double that. These are only a little bit less. I don't think C fits that. E, yeah, because of the big numbers on E and B, I don't think they fit. How about A? Could A fit that scenario? All of these numbers are pretty close together. I'm not seeing it on that one. So I'm not sure about that one, but maybe. Yeah, so just by looking without calculating, D looks like the mean will probably be less than the median. And again, it's because unusually small numbers will drag the mean down, And unusually large numbers will drag the mean up from the median. But the median's kind of stuck in the middle. All right, what's our next question? Which data sets would have a mean and median that are close together? So if they're close together, that means, where'd my question go? Right there. That the numbers, the distance to the numbers above is about the same as the distance to the numbers below. That things are kind of balanced on each side. Then the mean and median will be pretty close together. So with this one, let's use green. So A, those numbers below aren't too far below and the numbers above aren't too far below. So I think A, the mean and the median will be pretty close together. Not B, right? Because it has these unusually large ones. D, no, see, E has unusually large ones. C, 168 is in the middle. Then we're down about 40,000 to the low, but we're up almost twice as much. I don't think C quite fits that. I'm going to put a question mark on C. Let's see, D. Maybe D, what do you think? No, because it's got these much lower ones there. I don't think D is going to fit that scenario just by looking. But A looks pretty balanced. And if the data set's balanced on each side of the middle, then that's when the mean and the median will be about the same. All right, next. Data sets B and E have the same mean and the same median. Okay, B and E. B and E. Okay, and I was thinking those two look similar to me. Are the house sale prices the same for the two data sets? Well, clearly they're not. When you know the mean and the median of a data set, do you know everything about the data sets? Well, the prices are different. They claim in the question here that they have the same mean and the median.
Yeah.
So pretty obviously, just knowing the mean and the median isn't enough to know all of the data. It's just a summary,
Yeah.
right? The data sets are similar, but not the same. That's all we know.
Yeah, I wrote down, man, I should have read ahead.
Yeah.
And I put, even if you know the mean and median, you need to know how many. And
like knowing the max and the min would be helpful too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, just because you got the mean and the median, you don't know how many cells it made in order to get that mean, or
Yeah.
the median of how many of them.
Yeah, there's different amount of house sales every year. Not all years are the same number of house sales. Yep. And those numbers matter too. Exactly. All right, cool. Moving along. So let's see, look at the sale prices in question 3 and compare 2005 and 2007. So let's see. Question 3 back here. So back on this original chart, we want to compare 2005 to 2007. All right, let's do that. Please, it's on page. All right, so we already wrote down 2005, right? So for 2005, the table down here, we had a median of 240,000, and we had a mean, I'm missing a 0 there. There we go. We had a mean, I think it was 295. Is that what we thought? 2007, we're here, tracing that across. 2007 looks like 230,000. And the average is right in the middle here. So that would be 50, 60, 75, 275,000. questions? All right. Let's see which decreased more, the mean or the median, or did they decrease by the same amount, right? So housing prices did go down from 2005 to 2007. Did the mean or the median decrease more? Or they decrease about the same. Whip out a calculator, check that out. What's the change there? Oops, I guess I need two sets of changes. Actually, I'm going to write the change in the middle. Let's do this. The change here is just a drop of what, 10,000? For the median, and the mean changed by 20,000. Okay. So we can see the mean decreased more than the median. All right, what type of changes in home sale prices occurred so that the mean and the median would change that way? Oh, interesting. So we have again, the mean went from 295,000 to 275,000, which was a drop of 20,000. So I'm going to use K for 1,000. And the median went from 240,000 to 230,000. So that was a drop of $10,000 for the average home price. And again, sometimes in the media, when they say average, sometimes they're talking about the mean and sometimes they're talking about the median. And it's not always clear. So if all of the housing prices drop by the same amount, like the expensive houses, the medium houses, and the cheap houses, then the mean and the median would have changed by the same amount. But the mean dropped more than the median. So that means the mean and the median got closer together. What was pulling them apart before? High-priced houses, right? We're pulling them apart before. So that means those higher-priced houses, they must have dropped more in price than the lower cost housing to get the mean and the median closer together. That makes sense? Since they were further apart in 2005, right? So these are the 2005 numbers. These are the 2007 numbers. All right, write something similar down to answer that. We have a bigger drop in the mean. Mean and median are closer together in 2007. And the mean dropped by more. So that means the higher priced houses must have lost more value. So since the median dropped, the middle group of houses definitely lost value. Since the mean dropped more, the more expensive houses must have lost much more value than the lower priced houses. That was a tough one to think about. So with regards to the answer to this question, remember the first question we had to answer here was just to make 3 comments about the graph, which seemed kind of hard to do at first. But now that we've dove into it, there's a ton of stuff we can, figure out about it. There's a lot of information hiding in there.
Go to Reddit.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, right? Then you'd have all the other answers. All right, almost done. All right, let's see. That was D. Okay, question 6 on the sales price graph for the years 1999 and onward, the mean sales price is greater than the median, which it had been for many years. What's the difference between the mean and median prices of homes? What is new is that the difference between mean and median prices of homes is growing larger, especially in 2003, 2005. All right, let's take a look at that. So I need this. And I want to see the graph at the same time I see that. Back and grab a graph. Which one? Fit together? Yeah, just barely. Okay, so let's see. We want to consider 1999 and after. So where's 99? Right here. There's 1999. And we can clearly see the mean price is greater, mean is greater than the median. And it had been for a long time. What's new is the difference between them is growing larger, right? So yeah, this space is definitely getting way bigger over here than it is back there, all right? Especially 2003 to 2005. So here's where we have the biggest change in the two of them. So they're talking about the gap from here to here. What type of changes in housing prices in those years after 1999 would make the mean grow upward away from the median? Right? Same answers before, isn't it?
Absolutely.
The more expensive houses are getting way more expensive than the rest of the housing.
They sold some houses for.
Yeah, so the higher priced houses are selling higher than they ever have, and the average house is not, is basically what we're getting out of that. Yeah. So something like that. So when I was writing my sentence, I changed my mind as I was writing it. So I wrote the highest price houses are selling for much more compared to the average house, right? Because we use the word average all the time in common language, but average could mean mean or it could be median. In this case, I meant median, right? So I'm just clarifying. There's nothing wrong with me putting the word average in there, but I really mean median.
That's what I wrote at first. And
Yeah.
I put comma or average. Just to be certain.
Yeah. And again, that's the bottom line. Every time you see the word average in the media, it might mean mean, but it might mean median. You have to kind of dig in and figure out, well, where'd you get that
I
information?
always thought average was just you know, your average, was the mean.
Oh, this was a good one. I saw a newspaper article once.
Mhm.
It said our school system is failing. Half of students score below average.
All right, well,
Isn't that the point of average? Right, so.
yeah, huh?
So it was a stupid title. It's like, no, that's what average means, sorry.
Yeah, so, yeah, half of them. Well, that means the other half score above it.